Well, this week, Apple unveiled its much-hyped smartwatch. It marks the company's entry into the wearable devices market. Like many of its predecessors, the watch collects personal health information. KQED newscaster Joshua Johnson sat down earlier with KQED senior science editor Andrea Kissack to discuss the potential for these devices and the concerns.
Andrea Kissack, welcome.
Thank you.
Before we talk about the Apple Watch, let's talk about the market that this watch supposedly fits into, particularly what's been called the mobile health industry. What exactly is that, and how big a market is it?
Well, it's getting to be a bigger market every day. It's a multi-billion-dollar market right now. It includes lots of things. So it includes wearables like the health bands, the Fitbit, the Jawbone, the smartwatches, even Google Glass. The most apps that were designed early on were health apps. Surgeons were using Google Glass, say. But it also includes things like direct-to-consumer tests like 23andMe and uBiome, which is tests your microbiome and sends it back, and you can go online and share information. And but there's like 40,000 health and fitness apps right now in smartphones available. So it's really quite a big market and encompasses a lot of different things.
Now, these web-enabled watches lately are nothing new. Samsung has one, the Gear. Motorola just released the Moto 360. There's the Pebble, which works with iPhone and Android. So Apple is a little bit late to this game, but what is the Apple Watch supposed to do that's unique?
Well, Apple is a little late to the party, but that's often the case. It will come into a niche field a little late and sort of define it. So people have high expectations for Apple in this area. Well, this watch, unlike others, does offer an ability to pay for goods with it, a new system that Apple has launched. You can send and receive messages, you can access maps, and you can monitor your health and fitness tracking. And that's probably the part that I find the most interesting. That does exist on other smartwatches and wearables, but what Apple wants to do with that is a bit different.
Now, we should be clear, this is not just another pedometer to measure how many steps you take or how much running you do. There seem to be applications with this that go not just to fitness but to health, to your actual medical health.
Well, it does monitor health rate or heart rate rather, and whether you're sitting or standing or exercising. But then it's going to share that information, that data, with other health apps that Apple has designed, including HealthKit, which was a platform it rolled out a few months ago. And that they have partnerships now with several health providers. And that's a new thing, because that's when you're taking these sort of first generation activity trackers and really taking them to this next level, which is maybe a little more actionable. Apple is working with medical providers as well as medical record companies.
So this is information that could end up being sent to your doctor, where theoretically, your doctor could know how active you'd been or what your heart rate was like at certain times a day or how much you slept.
Yeah, I mean, doctors are having to now, at least in the Bay Area where people are a little more savvy with these things, figure out what to do with 6 months of Fitbit data. So, there's folks are coming up with ways to filter information to the doctors and so forth. And definitely in this day and age with digital health, where it's going, the doctor-patient relationship is becoming a little in flux.
Now, my concern with these devices personally is always privacy. We hear so much about data breaches at Home Depot and Target and everywhere else. And now you've got a computer that sits, on a radial artery feeding information to Apple all the time. What do we do about the privacy piece?
Right, because now you have this watch that basically you can pay for goods with. Most of the big banks are on board for this new Apple Pay, and you can share your health data. So they've been consulting with lawyers, and I think that's what people will be really concerned about is, what are insurance companies going to start gathering this data? Are we going to get dinged for, not walking 10,000 steps that day? So those are the questions to ask are, how secure is my data and how private is it?
Before I let you go, is this one of those industries like the iPod where people are going to realize that they never realized they wanted this until Apple created it? Or is this something consumers have been clamoring for already?
Right. I think there isn't a lot of demand for smartwatches. That's true. I think people that are into fashion watches are going to be into this, and people who are who are Apple fans and into fitness tracking. But the general public's going to need to be convinced, because watches have become less relevant. And ironically, it's these companies, these tech companies, that are making these smartphones that have made the watch irrelevant. And now they're back in the game, Samsung and Apple, making watches.
Getting us one step closer to Star Trek.
Right.
KQED Science Editor Andrea Kissack. Andrea, thanks for talking to us.
Thanks for having me.